Okay, now we're going to talk about the sense of hearing, audition. Well, as we said before, when it comes to sensation, we are responding to stimuli from the environment. So, in the case of hearing, the stimulus is sound waves. They're composed of the compression and rarefaction of air molecules through the air. So basically, that is what we are responding to. And the acoustical transduction, this is where the sound waves are converted into neural impulses by the receptor cells for hearing, which are those hair cells in the inner ear. Okay, now we hear lots of different things, lots of different sounds. And what are the properties of those sounds that we respond to? Well, one property of sound is the pitch or frequency. So the pitch is determined by the wavelength of those sound waves. So you have short wavelengths of waves, and those reflect high frequency sounds or high pitched sound. When it comes to wavelength, we're talking about, and so basically the wavelength from is one peak to the other peak. So a long wavelength sound or low frequency sound is a low pitch sound. Another property of sound is the intensity or loudness, and this has to do with the amplitude of those sound waves. So the higher amplitude, the greater amplitude means those taller waves, essentially, those represent loud sounds. If it's small amplitude waves, they represent soft sound. Now, the loudness of a sound, the loudness is measured by decibels, and here's a chart indicating some of the indicating decibels and like what are some sounds. So, for example, a whisper, maybe just under 20 decibels, leaves rustling about 20 decibels. As we're getting louder, 40 decibels, like on the inside of an office. Patter of rain. As we're getting close to 80 decibels, heavy traffic, vacuum cleaner, dishwasher. Now we're getting unpleasantly loud here. A little past 80 decibels, now we're in a point where if you are exposed to these sounds for extended period of time, it can do permanent hearing damage. So a power lawnmower, food blender, a heavy truck, a subway train, live rock music, a jackhammer 3 feet away, an air raid siren, sonic boom. These are very loud. Once you're getting past about 130 decibels, now we're talking about a sound that actually causes you physical pain. So a revolver firing at close range the sound will actually be painful. Finally, a third quality of sound is the quality or timbre, and this reflects just differences in the characteristics of the sound. You may be the same frequency, maybe the same intensity, but just sounds different, such as different kinds of string instruments, even if they're playing the same notes, may sound different, have a different sound quality. So a zither playing the same note would sound different from a guitar. Maybe because all those different background sounds around it, it's not a pure sound. So as a result, there are going to be some differences there. Okay, let's take a look at how the structure of the ear, get an idea of the pathway that sound is traveling here. So the sound is coming into your ear. Okay, now the pinna is the outer ear. That's what you see from outside. This is the pinna. And inside you see the auditory canal, leading to the eardrum. And the eardrum vibrates in response to the sound. The eardrum then vibrates these bones here, the anvil, hammer, anvil, and stirrup. These are called ossicles. These bones in the inner ear. They vibrate and amplify the sound, sending the sound into the inner ear, the cochlea, which is this spiral-shaped organ here, and inside is where you will see those hair cells that vibrate. Finally, the hair cells, again, through transduction, translate those sound waves into neural signals. Okay, so as I said before, sound waves are entering into the auditory canal. They hit the eardrum or the tympanic membrane. It vibrates, shaking up those bones, amplifying the sound, sending the message into your inner ear. So let's take a look at the close-up look at the cochlea, which is that spiral-shaped organ. In this tube, this is where the sound, this is where it receives the sound vibrations and transforms them into the auditory signals. Inside here, you have what is called the basilar membrane, and has the basilar membrane has the hair cells on them, and so it's hair cells that are the receptors for sound. So the sound comes in, and the sound travels through the spiral-shaped organ, and inside this organ there's fluid. So the motion of the fluid shakes up the basilar membrane, shaking up the hair cells, and again the auditory nerve sending the message to the auditory cortex of the temporal lobe. So again, it's that fluid in the cochlea that move, vibrating those hair cells on the basilar membrane, and again eventually travels to the temporal lobe. So how is it that we are able to hear sounds of different pitch? How is it that we're able to hear high-pitched sounds, low-pitched sounds? How do we know the difference? In other words, the hair cells are vibrating, yeah, but how do we know from the vibration what is a high pitch and what is a low pitch? And it has to do, and there are two theories that are used to explain how we hear, and both of those have some validity. So basically, the basilar membrane, that's where the hair cells are. But when the vibration comes in, different parts of the basilar membrane vibrate. So near where the oval window, near where the sound is coming in, it may be it's going to be higher frequencies. As it gets further away from the oval window, as it gets further away from the entry, the vibrations indicate lower frequencies. So essentially, place theory is saying that the different areas of the basilar membrane that are vibrating centrally send the different messages of the different frequencies of sound. Another theory, which also has some validity, is the frequency theory, and it has to do with with our perception of sound. It is the message that is being sent to the brain. So the neural impulses that are traveling from the auditory nerve, the brain are telling us whether we are, if we're hearing low frequency sounds. So by slower vibrations leading to action potentials that travel at a different pace. So for example, at a lower frequency sound, the action potentials from the auditory nerve sending the message to the brain are slower. Increase the frequency, now you're getting higher frequency of those action potentials. Now this particular theory is more relevant when you're dealing with sounds that are of low pitch. The low pitch sounds are the way we respond is more through these actions. It is more applicable to frequency theory.